Good morning, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. I'm here with my friend Greg DeMarco. Say hello, Greg.
Say hello, Greg.
There we
Hello,
go.
everybody. Yeah.
It's been a few weeks since we've done a recording, but today we're going to get back at it. And our topic today is going to be on character and what that actually means. Greg, we know that he's a character, but there's another way that we could look at that and say, okay, does he have character? What does that actually mean to have character? And how does that fit into our life as a business person or a salesperson or whatever? So what do you think, Greg? Is that something you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I think character is an important ingredient in a person because of a lot of reasons. But I think character, reputation, all that is a currency that we need to adapt for ourselves as we get through our careers and life. Because character sort of is the building block, I think, of, in my opinion, is really what makes a person who they are. Do they keep to their word? Are they diligent about what they do for others? This all comes down to character. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think you can focus so much on building your skills, your skills and sales is very much about learning those different skills. But if we don't have character, those skills can be abused, right?
Yeah.
We can use those skills for not good things. So I was thinking, how could we approach this thing about character? Because it's kind of a nebulous term, right? Because you want to say that he has character, and what does it actually mean? So I asked perplexity.ai. Perplexity is a program, a little bit like ChatGPT. People are more familiar with the term ChatGPT than they would be Perplexity. But it says that when we say a person has character, it generally refers to their moral qualities, strength of principles, and consistency in living up to their values. And here are some key aspects of what it means to have their character: moral excellence, consistency, responsibility, commitment, concern for others, honesty and integrity, resilience, self-reflection. Those are just some of them, but I think that's a pretty good list.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Of course, you use perplexity.ai. That's the kind of guy you are. And you don't disappoint, but I knew you were going to become prepared here. But I mean, it's a good list. I just threw it into ChatGPT here just to see what it came up with. And basically, you've got about the same list. It is all good. How do we communicate with others? What is our communication style? And is that in keeping with what we're trying to portray to certain people, right? And then there's accountability, there's integrity, reliability, all that kind of stuff plays into it. And I think that character, especially, we're using this in the context of sales profession, for example. I think a lot of character that an individual carries reflects in how well we build rapport and connection with people, right?
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that I was thinking about is when it's my dad's birthday today. So he's been gone 9 years, but you still think about dad on his birthday. And he used to say that my need for a commission was not a good reason to make a sale. Sometimes I think we need the money. Salespeople, we know what it's like to live through that feast or famine kind of a thing. But when I'm needing a commission, just because I need a commission doesn't mean that person needs to buy what I'm selling. And I think that's an indication of the character of a person. When your commission becomes more important than your client's needs or than the person that you're dealing with needs, I think that's a clear indication that you're acting in poor character or with bad character.
Well, listen, that critical point to be made, because I think, and I've run into this in my own career, when you start worrying too much about what's going in your pocket is when you start to forget how to help the person that you're trying to sell something to.
That would be on the list where it talks about honesty and integrity or concern for others. Concern for others rather than being solely focused on self-interest. A person that has good character considers the well-being of others and acts appropriately towards them.
And I think that's when we start to forget that, because I know there's ebbs and flows in a salesperson's career. And you could use this in general terms of, well, I mean, people's lives, but if we're talking about salespeople, there's these ebbs and flows. And one of the reasons why they get down in their performance, a lot of it is consistency. And I'm a really big supporter of always keeping your eye on the ball. For me in sales means, what is it the client needs and how can I help them get it? And what is best for them? It's not just helping them get what they want. What is actually the best solution for them? And that's really important, because I think if you keep that in mind, that's when good things happen, both for them and for yourself. But forgetting that, you don't get repeat clientele. You just get a bad reputation for just doing what's right for you, not for anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's right. How do you develop character? How do you develop good character? Can you develop good character? Or is it inherent in who you are? Are there just some bad apples, or is this something that you can do? When we ask Perplexity AI that question, it comes up with one of the first things it says is you got to practice integrity. I think, when we go back to what we were just talking about, our need for a commission isn't the reason that person should buy my product. I think that's practicing integrity, is when you recognize that what's good for your client first. This is a way that we can practice integrity. And when we practice integrity, we build our character.
You know what? I'm smiling as you were talking about building character, because I'll tell you a quick story from my childhood. I grew up on a farm with the family that ran the farm. And he was just a hard-nosed. He'd been in sales all his life, but he was a farmer now. And he was just a hard-nosed guy. And he worked. You worked when you're on the farm. So he didn't believe in having a drill for drilling down posts, fence posts. You used one of those augers and you moved the earth and you start to poke. That's how you did it. So, and I worked hard, and he always used to say to me, "Oh, go on, get out there, the character building experience." But finally one day I went, why is this a character building experience? I hate doing this. And he smiled and he said, "You'll see. You'll see." So I always remember that, because to me, building your character is building resilience and showing up on time at a job and not complaining, like I used to do quite often when I was digging those fence holes, and doing it for 8 hours a day and building that resilience to it, because you realize that, that's really listen, there's no free ride. There's no easy street. I don't care what anybody said. You know what? There's you got to be willing to work and put the effort in. And that's how you build character, is showing up and being on time. And that's part of what you're talking about, integrity, but just building a good reputation.
Yeah, embracing those challenges, face the difficulties that we in life head on. When I was a teenager, we moved out to a 5-acre hobby farm, and it had a creek on the property that separated the property. So my dad wanted to be able to drive his tractor across the creek. So we were building a bridge. So we got some old telephone poles and dropped them across the bridge. And then he bought a bunch of 2 by 6s, because he wanted it to be strong. So we had a bunch of 2 by 6s, and he wanted me to cut them all to the right length so that he could take them all down there and then just nail them in. So being a teenager and trying to get out of doing the work that I knew that I was supposed to be doing, I measured off I measured the short side only. And then I decided that I would use the chainsaw to cut these things all off, because he wanted me to use the handsaw. My dad was all into teaching me, integrity and character and all that kind of stuff by doing the hard work. I mean, that's how he had grown up. But I used the chainsaw. So when he came home, he found out that I had cut all the boards with the chainsaw, and which doesn't do a very nice job. And it also, what I didn't realize was that I was measuring the part that I'd cut off, but all the boards weren't the same length. So guess what happened? I had to do it all over again the way he wanted to with the chainsaw. So I learned that when you do the job right the first time, quite often you only have to do it once. But if you try to take a shortcut, you oftentimes the shortcut doesn't work, and you have to go back and do it right the right way the second time or third time. But so
Yeah. Well, that's all part of character building experience, Don. And
and
I got to the point where I hate that term. I just hated it, loathed it. But in the end, I don't know if I'm a character or not, but I've got some.
well, no, we know you're a character.
Yeah,
And we believe that you have character. So, and I think that's a good thing because you got to take responsibility. When you have character, you take responsibility for your actions. You when you have character, you do things according to what you value, and if your values are aligned properly, then you're going to demonstrate your character. But there's a number of different things, and I think that learning things is also a way that we can develop our character. It's an important aspect of things. To just because something's been done the same way all the time doesn't mean that we have to continue to do it. We can learn our character. We can develop our character by learning new things. And I think learning how people make decisions, learning new skills is a way that we can develop our character as well. So
yeah. No, it's a large part of it is just learning new skills and learning to do things differently and being open to new ideas. A lot of that has to do with your character, for sure.
yeah, and I think part of it too is looking back in our life and seeing, reflecting on how we have developed. How did we get to where we are today? What did we do well? What did we not do well? What were the defining moments in our life? What developed our character to where it was today? And that's a process of reflection. And I think that's something like we're reflecting today on the different tasks that we were given when we were teenagers, and recognizing at the moment that those weren't our favorite things to do in life, but realizing that, yes, they did actually develop our character or helped us develop our character. They might not have been, everything, but kind of like the Karate Kid, Mr. When he goes to Mr. Miyagi and Mr. Miyagi says, I want you to teach me how to do karate. And I forget what the kid's name is. But anyway, he makes him go wash the car.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how, and he's I want to learn karate. I don't want to learn I know how to wash a car. But he had learned the motions, by doing, wipe off, wipe on, type of things. So
yeah,
it's right. It's recognizing those types of things. So
yeah, and I think it's repetition. It's a lot of things we don't like to do, like me digging a fence pole. Well, it would take me 8 hours a day to build a whole fence down a row. But I mean, I was doing something repetitively, which drove me crazy. But
did you use the one where you pound it in and then open it up and then pull the dirt out?
yeah,
We used to use the one that you'd turn and then,
No.
it was like a big corkscrew.
this one you jammed down, you went like this, picked it up and put it over there. It was archaic. It was late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah, no, I know the tool. I've used it, but it's not an easy tool to use.
No, it's not. Trust me, it is. But the thing is,
It's a character builder though, Greg.
well, I would have loved to have that one where you turn. That would have been really nice.
Well, there's another one that they have. It's basically you use it for the round fence posts, but you buy them when they have a point on them. So then you have this thing. It's got two handles on it, and it's a big, heavy, round cylinder, and made out of steel or something. And then you just pound it down like this. That's hard to use too. But yeah, lots of ways to dig fence posts. But you want to
Yeah.
make sure you get them in deep enough, otherwise they fall down, right? So that's kind of an analogy that we can use about building character. If you don't have your character deep enough, the fence is going to fall down, and that kind of keeps us out of trouble. Yeah, having good character is actually a good thing. It can keep us out of trouble, when we're, in dealing with people, because if we have good character, we know we're going to treat people right.
Yeah. And that's just it. Fairness doesn't necessarily mean we're nice, because I think kindness goes a long way with that. But the ability to be kind and fair comes from character, and how you apply that, right?
I think if we have goals as well, we're honest with ourselves. And I think that's the first step that we can demonstrate our character is how honest are we with ourselves? Do we make commitments? Thing to make a commitment to a person and show up to an appointment on time and that type of thing. But what about ourselves? If we make a promise to ourselves that we're going to do something, you made some promises to yourself where you decided you were going to look after your health better. But you can make those promises, but if you don't stick to it, are you demonstrating good character? Like that's something I think we think about having good character, how it works with other people or how we treat other people. But we also have to look at, okay, how is our character applied to ourselves and that type of thing, and our close relationships. I had a consultant that we worked with. He became a good friend, and he brought up an interesting point one day. He says, we sometimes when we use the word character, we think it's synonymous with integrity, and integrity is I think part of having good character. But he said, how many of you in the room think that you have integrity? And like everybody put up their hand. No one wants to put up their hand and say, no, I don't have integrity.
Yeah.
Everybody puts up their hand and say integrity, and then they say, well, have you ever broken a promise to yourself? Or have you ever broken a promise to your wife or to your spouse or to somebody that's very close to you? And, if you break that promise, where's your integrity? Doesn't a person with integrity keep their promises all the time? But if you've promised yourself that you're going to do something, say you promised to yourself that you're going to work diligently and do what it takes to be successful in your career. But have you taken the steps to establish that promise can be fulfilled? Is that something that we do? Is that demonstrate good character?
Well, I think that's a good point to make, because that's exactly what it is. It's hard to say because, listen, I think it's important that we stick to what we say we're going to do. We've made a promise to do something. Important that we do that. But then that goes back to, are you making a promise about something you haven't really thought through? Like, do you have the means to carry out that promise? We all have to have these intentional discussions with ourselves. What is it we really want? What are we able to do? Don't make promises you cannot keep. Not because you don't have integrity, because you haven't thought it through. You don't have the resources to do it. You don't have this, and I think that's kind of an important distinction there.
Yeah. Who are you when no one's looking?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Who are you when no one's looking?
Yeah.
Are you a people pleaser? You just say, yeah. Is it short term?
Are you just saying what you think people want to hear?
Yeah.
And there's lots of different ways that you can go. I think it's an interesting topic to explore. And I think it's an interesting thing that, a person should look at, in their personal life, because I can't go and I think having a discussion with someone about their character, who am I to judge what, their character, right? Maybe we should, but anyway, I think it's been an interesting discussion and something that, I hope our listeners would think about a little bit more as it relates to what they're doing and in their career and in their relationships with their clients and with their family and with their, significant others and other people in general, because that's important. I think character is an important aspect of building a solid career. So, but thanks, Greg, for your insight and for your thoughts on this topic. And any Yeah, it's all good. And we'll see you next time. Take care.